Ground Soul Day, everybody. Before I begin, big shout out to Tiamat, Agali, Rept, Elilogap, Agiel, Zazel, and the planet Saturn. Now that we are done with the shadow work aspect of my teaching, I am going to be getting into the significance of the alphabet, as it is a prerequisite to understand before we actually begin to actively manifest things that we want into our reality. It's not as easy to manifest it and it just happens. You are quite literally speaking creation into the cosmos, and you're sending energy on a quantum level into space to be returned and brought into your life. So it's not something that happens overnight, and anybody who tells you otherwise is a liar. Even the most skilled magician or sorcerer or wizard understands the construct of energy and the prerequisites into displacing energy, because the universe is based on a 1 and 0 balance scale. It is imperative that we understand that when we are projecting with will and intent an energy of 1, it's going to be colliding with a bunch of other ones and zeros, and until it finds ways to move it around to make it fit into 1, it can't come into our life. So take an orange, if you will, and drop it into a bowl of water, and water being perfectly level with the top. What's going to happen when you drop that orange in the water? The water is going to overpour on the outside. The overpour would be our request to the cosmos. It would be the disruption of natural balanced energy existing as it is before we speak our intent into the quantum level. And until that water level balances and readjusts and stops spilling over, if you will, that is going to be the time frame from our intention hitting the cosmos, and the cosmos balancing out the energies before it's subdued and it subsides from spilling again, and then it's once again balanced. So significance of A is what I'm going to be speaking of today. It represents the primordial sound of creation in Hinduism. In the Kabbalah, it represents the unity of God, has origins in the Phoenician alphabet dated back to 1200 BCE. It was referred to as Aleph, which means ox in Semitic language. It's believed to derive from an ox head based on the shape. It was used to represent the sound of a glottal stop, which is basically the equivalent of us going, uh-oh. So it does represent new beginnings, creativity, spiritual transformation. In Hinduism, the sacred syllable Om begins with A for A-U-M. In Egyptian mythology, the god Amun was often depicted with the head resembling the letter A because he was considered the creator of all things. In the Kabbalah, A is associated with the Sephirah of Keter, which represents divine will, the highest level of consciousness. A's association pretty much to divinity and creation is prevalent in many ancient traditions, and it maintains spiritual relevance today. It is seen as a reminder to our connection to the divine and our ability to manifest our desires, tap into our transformative energies, to enhance our spiritual practice, and deepen our connection with the cosmos and the universe. In Christian tradition, it symbolizes Alpha and Omega. This symbolizes the infinite nature of God and the eternal cycle of life and death. It represents unity, showing two intersecting lines connecting to become part of a larger construct. So A symbolizes creation because it is the first letter of many words that describe an act of bringing something into existence. Art, alchemy, ascend, affirmation, ask, allow, accept, awareness, awakening. When we're telling stories, it's about a person, a place, a thing for a narrative structure. It represents awareness and awakening as well, being linked to the third eye chakra, reminding us to pay attention to our inner guidance and trust our intuition. This also goes hand in hand with visualization, as we use our inner eye to visualize, which we pretty much use to manifest, which I will be covering at a later time after I cover the much needed keys for the in-between that must be understood to fully realize our true potential. So you can't just skip all the inner work and jump right into manifesting and saying just manifest it and expect it to happen. That's not how this works. Manifestation is very much real, but there are steps that you need to ascend as a prerequisite to fully tap into your energetic potential. We don't just buy a car, we don't just win the lottery, we need to work a job, we need to make money, buy a ticket so that we have that potential to win. We need to take a action that's going to long-term affect our end game goal. We physically have to participate in our manifestations. The universe is always listening and it does respond, but we also need to show a attempt. We can connect to A during meditation by fully immersing ourselves in a mantra with A in it, would suffice. We can create our own utilizing a self-created affirmation spoken acrostically as a virgin sigil. It's something I like to do. When I speak with intent, even in general conversation, just to absorb the malum around me and truly pour breathe the elements into my body when I need them. I use keywords that in general conversation wouldn't raise any flags, that most people would just think is part of the conversation, but energetically I have them bound to a written sigil that I have energetically charged, either under a planetary cycle, lunar cycle, with an element. I work with a lot of different things personally. I don't just follow the moon cycles. For me, it's ineffective to just follow lunar cycles. I value them, I utilize them to their full potential, but I follow a lot more. I'd rather be a supernova exploding than just being a little blip in the water after a rock hits it, you know what I mean? So, back to the spoken word sigil. You know, this is going to be the exact purpose behind my covering the root of the alphabet. I create as I speak, as the English translation of abracadabra. So when we speak, sometimes we succumb to speaking in self-doubt, negative talk, which long-term manifests, and we end up victims to our own verbal abuse. And it is absolutely necessary to be mindful of how we speak within, to ourselves, about ourselves, and others in general. We do create as we speak. Thus, the term power of tongue was born with grander meaning. Between speaking with intent, visualization, A can empower us to create a reality and manifest at a much rapid pace. And before we know it, we quantum leap into the reality that we have spoken into creation. Now, other ways to connect with A are journaling, crystals, visualization, mantras, just fully embodying the magnificent power and energy that A has to offer in our lives. Our ancestors quite literally thrived on A. We were created on A. Our ideas were created on a thought. So try using A to your advantage. Simple, small steps like this really do build up the momentum and long term help you channel that energy properly to manifest exactly what you want. Hopefully you found this information helpful, useful, and I'll see you in the next video.